welcome to this little video. This video is about Moon in Aries and Venus in Aries. I'm going to try to make a series of videos and about those female planets in different signs. So I start with Aries, right? And what is my goal? My goal is just to, if you have a Moon in Aries or if you have a Venus in Aries, that you understand it a bit more, that you understand a bit better why you act the way you act, why you love the way you love. And also for people who are living together with someone who has a Venus in Aries or who has a Moon in Aries, and to be able to try to understand them better. That's the intention. So let's get started with the Moon and the Venus in Aries. What does it mean when you have that in your chart? Well, first of all, the distinction between Moon and Venus is very simple, of course. Venus is how or what we love, not only the kind of person that we love, but also maybe the kind of paintings we like, the kind of landscapes that we like, and so on. So Moon is more about our emotional state, how our emotions, how we react on life, and so on. And also relationships. Because if we look at Venus and the Moon, and we want to look in a person what kind of relationships they're gonna get, when you look at the long-term relationship, I would suggest to look at the Moon. That's especially when you're a woman and you have your Moon in Aries. Well, that's the kind of relationships that you're gonna have on a long term. The same with a man who has a Moon in Aries, Venus in another sign. The Moon represents how they're gonna deal with in relationships, longer term, how they are relating to a woman emotionally. Okay, so that's a big distinction. But first, let's have a look with Venus in Aries. How is a person with a Venus in Aries? Well, I have a friend who's got, actually she's got the planets upside down. She's got Mars, the planet of action, in Taurus. That's the code of Venus. And she's got Venus, that's a planet of love, in the sign of Aries, the sign of action. That's a bit upside down. She's very funny. And how does she react on people, or how does she show her love? Well, it's very spontaneous. If we meet each other, if it has been a long time that we've met, and let's say we meet each other in a street with a lot of people, maybe a very busy street, a shopping street or whatever. She sees me. She, although she's very shy, normally she's got a lot of stuff in Pisces, but she drops her bags and she shouts like, "Hey Veerle, it's a long time that I've seen you," and she walks towards me like a child, like this, and embraces me. And that's very much Venus in Aries. It's very lovely, it's very heartening, it's very honest and almost childish. That's the kind of a way that they show their feelings, because Venus is about our feelings. So very spontaneous feelings. When they're angry, they're angry. When they're happy, they're happy. So it's very basic. It's very it's very sincere, and that's very charming, of course. And of course, some people think that it's charming, and other people think it's not, because they're not aligned, or in their chart, it's not. They don't have any affinity with Aries. Probably that could be the case. Venus in Aries also means that those people, they love action in relationship. So they probably, unless they have 20 planets in Taurus or something, but they probably love some action in a relationship, which means that with their loved one, they love to do things. It can be as simple as going for a walk in a forest or something, but to do active stuff in their relationship, so they don't really feel alive when they're sitting in front of the television and just watching some television. So they really need to feel that they're alive in a relationship. They need attention. Actually, especially also the moon in Aries, but Venus in Aries also likes the attention in a relationship. And it is often said, Venus in Aries, it is often said that they have this challenging stuff going on when it comes to relationships and when it comes to standing up for themselves and not giving in. Very simple example. A conversation between in a couple between Venus and Aries could be like the one says, I want to go to the movies, and the other one says, I want to work a little bit more tonight. So what happens? Well, if someone has like an aspect like Venus in a sextile with Mars, for instance, they probably say, or they're probably gonna say, okay, you do your work, and then we go to the movies. Maybe not at 8 o'clock, but at 11 o'clock in the evening, and then we've got both. You know, that's fine. But Venus in Aries has like a problem when it comes to, hey, no, I said I wanted to work, or I said I wanted to go to the movie, and I don't want to give in, because if I'm going to give in, I'm not happy. It's not me. It's a very individual position of Venus. So this is a bit of a challenging situation. So if you're living with someone with a Venus in Aries, you can try to understand that they're not trying to oppose every time they do that, but it's just in their nature. You know, when you've got planets in Aries, whether it is Venus, Moon, Sun, it means that you have to stand up for yourself in some sort of way. It means that you need that focus on you. It simply is in its nature when you've got planets in Aries. And so it can be a challenge for the balance in a relationship, obviously. And I think about that same friend I've got. She can be very fiery when it comes to a new person that she has met. You know, it's you've got her on the phone, and then she says, oh, he's very lovely, he's like this and like this. It's all wow. And then 2 weeks after, you ask for that person, she said, who are you referring to? Oh, that person. Oh yes, but he's a bit like this and a bit like this. So it's because of this impulsive nature. They are a bit naive. They only see what they're first seeing, and they're not thinking. That's basically what happens with Venus in Aries. But I don't think that's so difficult. But that is the tricky side of Venus in Aries. It's hard to give in. It's hard to give in to them. Now, what else with Venus in Aries? So they're demonstrative when it comes to their feelings. They're not going to put it away. They're spontaneous. They're almost like a kid. Moon in Aries, you could say that they feel very fiery. You know, the emotions go into their bodies, and they feel it very on a very fiery level. So when something happens, they react very quickly. They also sense it on a very fiery level. So, now with Moon in Aries is, so the moon is how we respond to actions, and a moon in Aries means very quick responses. That's why we often say that Moon in Aries has poor impulse control, and that's of course putting it in a negative way. It can be used in a positive way though. I'll give an example right away. But Moon in Aries is very easily triggered. It's very easily angry. It's very easily happy. It's very easily turned on, very easily turned off. So it's all very quickly because Aries is involved, and that's the sign of action. Now, a moon in Aries associates, whether you're a man or a woman, associates the emotional intensity with, or the emotional identity with courageousness. So, especially a woman with a moon in Aries probably had a mum who was quite courageous. Also a man, actually. So they identify their emotional side with courageous women, women who stand up for themselves, women who do their own thing, women who like freedom, women who loves their own identity. So a man with moon in Aries probably like women in a long-term relationship. They are going to like a woman who's a bit Aries-like, who's very Mars-like, who's very active, who's very who's not afraid of doing things, who's not afraid. A woman who's got moon in Aries is also showing not only how her emotions are, but also how she reacts to her own children. So moon in Aries shows us how we were as a kid emotionally, but it also shows us how you're going to react as a parent. So someone with moon in Aries, probably if they got children and they fall, they're not going to act like, oh, you did fall, that hurts a little bit, that hurts, doesn't it? Come on here, I'm gonna, and so on. No, they're going to say, did you fall? Show me your scar. Show me your scar. And come on, get up, off you go. That's the reaction of a moon in Aries. And that's not bad or that's not good. It's just in its nature to, when something bad happens to you, stand up and go for it. A moon in Aries is a very positive thing about it is that they overcome something bad very quickly. They overcome a crisis very quickly. They are the ones who can really end a relationship and not think about it anymore. End something and not looking back anymore. They go right in front of them. They focus on what's new. And sometimes people say, "Whew, that's someone sans scrupule," but no, it's just the way how they react. Something is finished. Okay, we go to the next. That's very in an opposition. So that's very. It shows as if it's very hard, but it's not. It's just the way they react on things. That's just how they cope with crises. So. But another good thing about it is that a couple of weeks ago I was in a park. I was in a park on a Saturday afternoon. I was reading a book, and there's a little, how do you call that? A little, not a pool, but a pond or something. Water. And there was a little girl of a 2-year-old playing very close to the water. I didn't see it, of course, but it fell into the water. And that happened in just a few seconds. When I realized that was happening, I saw a man running in front of me, like woof, going like this, jumping into the water, picking out the kid and giving it to a very mum that was in a total crisis, of course. And I needed to know, this man is very Aries-like. I want to know. Does he have planets in Aries? Of course, it didn't go that way, because there was a park and there was a party going on, and a lot of people, went all to this man and oh, thank you. I offered him a beer, and I asked him, his date of birth. And he had 3 planets in Aries. The Moon, Venus, and Mars in planets. Very Mars man, very small, very little man, but very, strong. A lot of tattoos. But anyway, and how his girlfriend reacted was totally different. That was not Aries-like. He went to his girlfriend and, she completely freaked out. What about the new cell phone that I bought you 2 weeks ago? It's ruined now. And what about your keys? I'm not going to search for the keys. I'm not going to do that, And everybody was like feeling pity with him. And especially the men, they were looking, what kind of woman is that? But of course it's not a bad woman. It's probably a woman who's not very, very Aries-like. It's probably a woman with having a moon in Capricorn, or I don't know, or an emphasis on earth signs, the practical stuff, the filthy water out there, and how did you do it? And so they're having an argue after that. So that shows that in a relationship, it's not about wanting to be someone to be different. It's just Are you aligned or not with someone like that? If you've got your moon in Aries, moon signs are very important in relationships. When the moon shines, I don't know what I've got with my pronunciation today, but anyway, the moon signs, if they're not related to each other well, it's gonna be a relationship that's quite difficult or challenging. I'm not going to say it's bad or it has no it is difficult to continue. No, it's just not going to be on that emotional understanding. There's not an emotional understanding, you know. Everybody who saw that happening in that park was really, oh, that man is it. I nearly had tears in my eyes. You know, I've got my moon in Aries. I saw like, oh, this is a hero. You know, that this is such a courageous. I identify completely with it. I thought that was beautiful. You know, someone who just don't think, just do, and save the child. Yes, that made me wow. But that woman obviously doesn't understand that, and it's not bad that she doesn't understand it. It's just the way she is, and that's in relationships. What I want to emphasize: if the moon side, if you've got like your moon in Aries, and you live together with a moon in Capricorn, it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's not the easiest thing. So, if you've got someone with a moon in Aries and who doesn't think before they act, well, try to understand why. It's just in its nature. I'm not gonna say everything is good what they do. I mean, probably that woman. It's probably not the first time that man did act without thinking. But anyway, I thought it was a good example. Again, moon in Aries is very spontaneous and very courageous, and it doesn't mind what other people are gonna think. You know, like Libra and Venus in Libra is really all about, you know, the opposite sign is about how other people are going to respond. Moon in Aries doesn't really care for that. You know, when they're the good ones who. Also Venus in Aries, when there's a party and there's a wedding and no one is dancing, or you know, it's the beginning of the music is playing, and you know, the men are with their drinks there, and the women, you know, they feel a bit, you know, their legs and they want to dance, but they're a bit shy. Well, moon in Aries, probably moon in Aries or Venus in Aries person that is going to jump on the stage and just going to start to dance. They're the pioneers. When it comes to, let's say moon in Aries, when it comes to their needs, when it comes to the things that they want, because the moon is very much about needs and wants, it's strong needs, and it's, you know, very almost childish, like, you know, I want that. It's not, you know, a moon in Cancer that really aligns with what's in front of them, and really also can have needs, of course, but it's more flowing. You know what, moon in Aries is not flowing. They want something yesterday instead of tomorrow. So they're very impatient. They have an impatient nature. So they're good starters. But to continue, that's something else. So it's a bit childish. Yes, sometimes it's a bit childish. And I hope that people who live with someone with the moon in Aries and the Venus in Aries, that they understand that they even think, oh, it's a bit charming. I hope they do, because if they're not, well, it's a pity, isn't it? But anyway, that's for moon in Aries. And for Venus in Aries, do enjoy it. If you've got your moon in Aries or Venus in Aries, do enjoy it. It's alive. It makes people more lively. It makes people more alive and kicking. And it makes people courageous. And if you're living together with someone with a moon and the Venus in Aries, just really enjoy the honesty of it, because they are open books. They have their emotions and their feelings on their forehead. So that's also a good thing, isn't it? Have fun with it. See you later. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.